Thomas from Reno, Nevada asked if I had heard the comments that Triple H made about the UK wrestling scene on Corey Graves' After the Bell podcast. I did hear that part. I did see the clip going around on social media this week. Let me just read some of what he said here, what Thomas is referring to. He said, I think all of that is important in this feeder system of what the business is. People that have misunderstood, like when we went to the UK, what we were trying to accomplish there because of people's small thinking or short-sightedness. Yes, some of these indies are going to go away. The ones that are going to go away are the ones that are paying you $25 when they promised you $75. The ones that have a ring that didn't hold up. The ones that didn't have medical there. The ones that didn't care about you. They were just booking you because they were hoping to sell some tickets and you had a little bit of the buzz. So they were hoping to sell some tickets and they could care less what you do. We wanted to work with the ones who were cultivating talent, the ones that were encouraging them to become better, working with them on promos or giving them guidance, that had equipment that was functioning, that had medical care if you were injured, that at least you didn't have to wait 45 minutes for an ambulance or try to figure out if they were going to call you an Uber. So I guess this was in reference to a lot of the independent UK promotions. There have been a lot in 2019 that have died off. In fact, I don't remember what episode it was a few months ago, but I read a whole list of up to half a dozen this year alone that have either gone under or are in the process of going under. And all I will say is I will refer you back to a commentary I had on Sound Off episode 374 from March of 2015. And the gist of what I was saying at the time was, if you are an independent wrestling promoter, this is not just limited to the UK. If you are an indie wrestling promoter, watch your back. Because Triple H, and with NXT, what they would end up doing is putting a lot of these independent promotions out of business, or weakening them to a point where they would have no choice, effectively, but to partner in some way with WWE. Because the situation as it is now, so this is no surprise to me. I basically, I talked about this 5 years ago. Anybody who's listened to this show, you remember that commentary. You can find the clip on YouTube. The reality is you either agree to terms with WWE and you partner with them as a glorified feeder system, or you're on the outside looking in, and eventually they're going to gobble you up. They're going to bleed you dry. All that talent that's out there on the scene, they're going to have them at some point. You're with us or you're against us. That's the WWE attitude. And according to The Observer this week, the deal that these companies agree to when they do partner up with WWE, whether it's a Progress or an ICW, is that they give WWE the right to buy them out if they choose to do so down the road. They could just buy them out outright. Buy them out, shut them down. It's all about control with this company. It's all about power. It's no different than it is with other big companies outside the wrestling bubble, in business in general. The biggest media companies in the world, the biggest media conglomerates, they keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. WWE is no different. That's what this is. They hoard as much talent as they possibly can. They have so much talent, they don't know what to do with half the talent they have under contract. They just sign them up. Well, this guy looks like he might have promise. Give him a contract. Sign him up. So they hoard as much talent as they possibly can, and maybe they'll end up doing something meaningful with half of them. They do this to the detriment of all of those UK indies, which is why the UK indie scene, the UK indie scene, to say that it's dead is not true. And I heard from people who said, when I talked about this several weeks ago, they agreed largely with what I said, but they said, look, I live in the UK. There's still a ton of independent promotions. And when a lot of these promotions die, other ones may sprout up. So I'm not saying the UK independent wrestling scene is dead, but this boom that they were experiencing, it ain't booming no more, not like it was. And this is part of the reason why. But, Japan has come up recently as well. The WWE is interested or tried to and wasn't able to get a foothold in Japan. They would love to have an NXT Japan or a PC in Japan. I don't doubt that. For their sake, for the Japanese wrestling scene, for the sake of the scene out there, I hope that doesn't happen. But I also can't fault WWE for wanting to. Look at all the great talent they've got over there. Look at the talent they have in Canada. How many great wrestlers have come out of Canada? 90% of which probably came out of the Hart household. Canada has churned out a whole ton of talent. I'm surprised they don't have some PC up there. I'm surprised they never went to Lance Storm and said, "Hey, Lance, who just shut down his wrestling school and is now working for WWE as a producer." I'm surprised they never went to him and said, "Hey, maybe we can turn your school into the official kind of Canadian feeder system for WWE." Or maybe they did and Lance wasn't interested. I don't know. But, Canada would be a logical place. Japan has a ton of talent. And they've taken more talent from Japan in recent years. But mark my words, this will not end with just the UK. They're going to try to invade other places too. You're either with us or against us. I said it 5 years ago, and I'll say it again now. If you are an indie promoter in these places, watch your back.